All right, so we're gonna move on to the last video of Karine Pierre. Interesting conversation between her and what's Peter's last name? Doocey. Am I pronouncing it correctly? The one that she's always going back and forth with. So we'll take a look at this conversation, then we'll wrap it up and get some rest. So let's hear it. Oh shoot! Sorry about that.
Directly.
My bad. My apologies. Y'all know I be having these moments sometimes. I didn't share the screen. Let's take a look.
So let's head to the White House.
Peter
Doocey is asking questions of Karine Jean-Pierre. Let's listen.
Home, who are wrongfully detained and held hostage. And again, frankly, we have had an extraordinary record of doing just that. And that's going to be the president's top priority.
Listen to his conversation. Listen to his question. It's very specific. And this is what I was trying to mention earlier about Congress, where for FEMA, because they ran out of money, now they're waiting for Congress to go back, approve them for more money. But listen to what he says.
And on this issue of funding, the administration has money to send to Lebanon without Congress coming back. But Congress does have to come back to approve money to send to people in North Carolina. Do I have that right?
So the administration has money without Congress having to, vote on it, whatever, to send money to Lebanon. They already have that. However, when it comes to hurricane aid for Americans, Congress has to get back together, vote for aid. That's what he asked. Now listen to her response.
Come back to approve money to send to people in North Carolina. Do I have that right?
Here's what I'm going to be very clear about. The president and the vice president has had a robust whole of government response to this. Hundreds of millions of dollars. I said it at the top, more than $200 million that we have directly put towards survivors here for disaster help. And that's because of this president's commitment to make sure that we are there for communities that are impacted. We take this very seriously again. We take this very seriously. And before the hurricane hit, we pre-positioned more than 1,500 federal folks on the ground to help. And so we have made sure that every state has gotten their storm requested emergency declaration. They requested it, and we made sure they received it. We've taken this very seriously. More than $200 million that we have provided to the impacted areas. But instead, people want to do disinformation, misinformation, which is dangerous, because then
I understand his face. I don't know. Look at his face when she says misinformation, disinformation. If it is misinformation or disinformation, then let's kind of go back to what the initial question was. It was very simple. He just was asking, like, hey, just want to get it straight that we have money to send to Lebanon without Congress meeting. However, when it comes to the aid, Congress has to meet when it comes to the aid for the hurricane victims. She said a whole bunch of stuff to where probably a lot of us forgot the initial question or initial statement that he was looking for confirmation from. Then she's going to say a whole bunch of other stuff and then talk about misinformation and disinformation. You could have just answered the question straightforward and direct if you're looking to call out misinformation and looking to make it to have your point come across a lot clearer and your stance on it.
Do disinformation, misinformation, which is dangerous, because then when folks on the ground hear that, they may not want to ask for the help that they need. That is there for them. That's our focus here.
But President Biden is fond of saying, show me your budget and I will tell you what you value. If he's got money for people in Lebanon right now without Congress having to come back, what does it say about his values There's not enough money right now for
His
people in North
values,
Carolina who
his-
need it. That's not misinformation.
Wait, no, that is your whole premise of the question is misinformation.
He made it very clear. He said, if Joe Biden says, show me your budget and I'll show you your values. This is what I said. The same energy's got to be kept across the board. I don't think, now I know Peter and Karine, they have their back and forth a lot. You know, we've covered them a lot. But this is a very simple thing. And I think that most people in this particular situation, maybe people would disagree with Peter in other situations, most situations, I don't know. However, in this particular situation, when I'm observing this back and forth, it seems like she's beating around the bush. He's being direct. He's being the more rational person compared to her. Am I missing something? Y'all tell me.
There's not enough money right now for
His
people
values,
in North Carolina who
his-
need it. That's not misinformation.
Wait, no, that is your whole premise of the question is misinformation, sir. What you
So the premise of the question is misinformation. Is there anything else that's misinformation?
do? Yes,
Which
it's misinformation.
Is there money to send to Lebanon right now?
I just mentioned to you that we provided more than $200 million to folks.
Just because you provided more than 200, what does that mean? Most people just hear 200 million and we assume that's a lot of money. If they need more, they need more. And perhaps we would have more. And I think that's what Peter's saying. How do we have all this money to send out to other places if whether it's 200, whether you send over whether you had 2 billion for them? If it's not enough, then it's not enough. And I think it's a perfectly fair question to say, like, hey, whatever the amount is that you had or that you sent or you provided, if more is needed, then people are going to look into why that more that is needed is not available and accessible.
Who are impacted in the area. And I just shared with you that people are deciding not to,
Letter to Congress that there's not enough money to help people in
We're
North
talking
Carolina.
about the SBA disaster loan.
That's
Yes.
money for people in North Carolina.
And that's important. And people in North Carolina need that. Wait, this is nothing new. Peter, this is nothing new. Congress comes together. They provide money, millions of dollars.
Where is this money being provided? Like, where do they mean Congress provides it? Is it coming out of the Congress, like Congress people, congressmen, congresswomen? Is it coming out of their pockets, or like break it down for me if you can.
For disaster relief. We're asking them to do the job that they have been doing for some time.
From a letter that President Biden
doing
sent to
for
Johnson,
some
McConnell,
time.
Schumer, and Jeffries. The president's letter is not misinformation. Would you agree?
No, the way you're asking me the question is misinformation. There is money that we are allocating to the impacted areas, and there's money there to help people who truly need it. There are survivors who need the funding, and it's there.
That you don't like misinformation.
I said
That's very-
I actually said we have the money
I agree.
available
Can't call a
to
question you
help.
don't I agree. You can't call a question that you don't like misinformation. You can't just run around like that. That's like the new whole fake news thing. People used to get mad when Trump say fake news. I don't even want to get in. You can't just call a question that you don't like misinformation. And if you are going to call it misinformation, just be very clear about which parts of the question are misinformation and why it's misleading.
I actually said we have the money available to help survivors of Hurricane Helene and also Hurricane Milton. Now there's going to be a shortfall, right? Because we don't know how bad Hurricane Milton is going to be. And so we're going to need additional funding.
That's exactly what I just asked about. And you said it was misinformation. Yes.
What you're asking me is why Congress needs to come back and do their job. That's what you're asking me. Congress needs to come back and do their job and provide extra assistance, extra funding to disaster relief fund. That's what Congress needs to do, and we're going to continue to urge that. You may not want that, but that's...
So she's saying, I want to make sure that I am being fair. So she's saying that that's just the normal process. There's a certain amount that's allotted, and Congress has to come back and then provide additional. Now, if that's the case, I don't know why Mayorkas. Now, let's keep in mind, we gotta go back to that video. Why I don't understand why Alejandro Mayorkas, hold on, who is the United States Secretary of Homeland Security, if this is the normal way and this is just Congress doing their job, then I don't understand why Alejandro Mayorkas would even say the things that he mentioned. Like, why would he even say we're going to run out if the normal way of doing things is Congress to vote on it? I wouldn't say it's going to run out. Like, hey, this is our normal process. We have a certain amount that is assigned for this particular issue. But of course, when there's more that's needed, this is the normal process. We go through Congress. How he presented what he said did not come across like that. It just didn't. But that's where we are with it. That's where we are with it. I'm not sure that any of us either. I'm not sure if anybody came away after that conversation with any more of an understanding on what exactly is going on. But just presenting it to y'all, and hopefully, regardless of whether Congress has to provide it or however we figure it out, people get assistance. Because with all this climate change that people, it's funny how the same people on the side of climate change saying that all the harmful things that are going to come from climate change, including some of these weird hurricanes that we've been seeing that are moving inland, it's apparently that's kind of some of the conversations that I've had, that these are a little bit we're seeing more up and down behavior of a lot of these storms, and we're seeing more of them, more extreme ones, at a high rate, all these different things. If climate change is causing all these things, then why not be prepared? Like, if you're on the climate change side and warning us on all these harmful effects that come from climate change, then why not be prepared for it? So that would be my only question, or I can't say my only question, but definitely one of them. But we're going to leave it here. It's Dak. Just want to thank you for checking out our video and visiting the OG Network. If you enjoyed the video, please make sure that you give us a like. And if you're looking to join a community of inspired individuals striving for purposeful abundance, subscribe. And if you're feeling real generous, share the video with some friends and family. All right, I'll see y'all soon. Ew.